Hey everyone, and welcome to this brand new explainer. Today, we're going to break down some absolutely fascinating neuroscience insights from Dr. Sweta Adatia. She's a leading neurologist, and honestly, you can think of this as the biological user manual you never got at birth. We are going to learn exactly how to tune our brains like a high-performance machine for some pretty massive success. Let's get right into it.
But real quick, before we get to the solutions, I've got a question for you. Why do you wake up feeling tired and stressed? Seriously, think about your typical morning. Do you grab your phone the second you open your eyes? Do you check those notifications and instantly feel just completely overwhelmed by the day? It's a super relatable struggle, but from a neurological standpoint, we're basically starting our day completely backwards.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the 4 brainwaves. Look at the perfect morning routine, tackle logic versus emotions, find out your sleep chronotype, and finish up with success and anger control.
Okay. Kicking things off with Section 1, the 4 brainwaves, your internal operating system.
So your brain doesn't just run on one single speed, right? It operates using entirely different electrical frequencies depending on what you're doing. A natural morning should actually be a really smooth transition. When you're in deep, restorative sleep, your brain produces slow delta waves. Then, as you slowly wake up and dream, you shift into this highly creative theta state. You open your eyes, start your morning, and enter a calm, balanced alpha state. And finally, when you're at work, fully active and problem-solving, you hit those fast-paced beta waves.
Ideally, we get that beautiful, smooth transition, delta to theta to alpha. But let's be real, most of us suffer from the alarm clock effect. You jerk awake to a blaring alarm, grab the phone, start scrolling, and boom, you completely skip those creative theta and calm alpha states. You're jumping straight from deep delta sleep right into high-stress beta waves. Dr. Sweta points out that doing this is literally like cranking your car's engine straight into 5th gear without giving the oil any time to circulate. I mean, no wonder we feel so burnt out.
Which brings us to Section 2, the perfect morning routine, using the MOVERS protocol.
To perform at our absolute best, we have to protect those precious theta and alpha states during the first hour of our day. So Dr. Sweta lays out this brilliant framework called the MOVERS protocol. It's pretty simple. M is for meditation to calm the mind. O is for oxygenation, basically breath work. V is visualization of your goals. E is exercise. R is reading something positive. And S is scribing or journaling to dump out any negative thoughts. Just spending 5 minutes on each of these in your first hour primes your brain's chemistry for the entire rest of the day.
I want to pause specifically on that V, visualization, because of this quote from the source. First you become here, then you become there. There's this mind-blowing study Dr. Sweta highlights, where one group physically played the piano, while another group just visualized playing the keys in their head. Get this, after 3 months, brain scans showed the visualization group grew almost the exact same brain cells as the group who physically played. Mental rehearsal literally changes your biological reality. How crazy is that?
All right, Section 3, logic versus emotions, the battle inside your head.
Once our morning is set, we still have to face the day. And every time you hit a setback, there is an ultimate biological tug-of-war happening right inside your skull. On one side, you have the limbic system, specifically this tiny almond-shaped piece called the amygdala. It's like a primitive security guard constantly scanning for threats, driving your fear, fight, flight, or freeze responses. Pushing back is your advanced prefrontal cortex. This is where logic, emotional control, and actual choice live. Peak performers intentionally build up their prefrontal cortex so they stay calm under pressure, instead of letting that primitive amygdala run the show.
And we really have to keep that amygdala in check, because it loves to loop. A massive study actually audited the roughly 50,000 daily thoughts people have. They found that humans obsess over basically 3 things: health, wealth, and relationships. Those 3 categories take up a whopping 99% of our mental RAM. Only 1% is left for higher-level thinking or personal evolution.
So what happens when one of those 50,000 thoughts triggers a negative emotion? Well, it happens fast. It takes exactly 13 seconds for an amygdala hijack to occur. 13 seconds. That is literally all the time it takes to turn a tiny annoyance into full-blown, uncontrollable anger where your logic totally shuts down.
But we've got a highly actionable fix for this. To diffuse that 13-second anger bomb, use a breathwork hack called the cyclic sigh. When you feel triggered, hit the brakes immediately. Step 1, take a deep breath in. Step 2, start counting backwards from 100. 99, 98, 97. Step 3, exhale slowly. Why does this work? Because counting backwards forces your logical prefrontal cortex to turn on, which instantly cuts the power to your emotional amygdala. It's a total game changer.
Moving on to Section 4, your sleep chronotype, finding your rhythm.
Besides emotions, we have to manage our physical energy. Ever wonder why some people pop out of bed at 5 a.m. while others don't hit their stride until midnight? It's all about your biological clock, or your chronotype. There are 4 main ones. The lion naturally peaks early, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. The bear wakes up a bit slower, hitting their stride from 10 a.m. onwards. The wolf is your classic night owl, peaking from late afternoon all the way to midnight. And the dolphin? Their energy is just totally random and erratic. If you can identify your chronotype, you'll finally understand why you hit a wall in the afternoon, or why waking up early feels impossible.
Finally, Section 5, Success and Anger Control. Training your brain. To tie this whole explainer together, the science clearly shows that building mental resilience directly leads to outward success. Successful people aren't just lucky, they literally train their brains. To build up that prefrontal cortex we talked about, you need daily neurobics, brain workouts. Things like Trodak, which is flame gazing to build intense beta focus, or grounding, just walking barefoot on the grass to foster an alpha state of calm. And one of my absolute favorites from the source, mirror writing. Literally taking a pen and writing backwards with your non-dominant hand. It forces your brain to build entirely new, resilient neural pathway.
Let's wrap up with this incredibly powerful thought. Rewire your reality, not just your brain. Look, life is going to throw obstacles at you, right? You'll face stress, failure, frustration. That's a given. But what internal brakes do you need to build today so you stop crashing into those obstacles? If you prime your mornings, understand your energy peaks, and actively train your prefrontal cortex, you're not just reacting to the world anymore. You are completely rewriting your reality. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this helps you go out and build an incredibly successful day.